Hi there everyone, Jack here again at the Vinyl Voyage. To begin with then, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I hope you had a great day with your loved ones. I hope that Santa was very good to you and left you some treats under the tree in the form of bits of black wax. I got some cracking albums this Christmas. I won't show them today, I'll keep them for a later video because today is about looking back to 2024. It's almost at an end, but for me it's been an absolutely amazing year for new music. I'm not going to include any reissues in my top 10. This is all new albums from contemporary artists. But like I said, this has been, for me, one of the best years in recent memory for new music. I bought loads of new albums, and it was really hard to narrow down to a top 10 because I'm going to miss out some really, really great albums that I've picked up this year. However, 10 it is going to be. I've not included any albums that I kind of picked up in December because they've probably not had enough time to sink in. So again, there's probably a few albums that I picked up in December that would have made my top 10. They've just not had enough time to burrow their way in. And yeah, let's go on with it then. I'll start off with a single. My favourite single of 2024 is the Chords, and it is Favourite Time. It was a brilliant Christmas single. Granted, it was the only single that I bought this year. I'm not a big singles guy, but I had to buy this. It's really, really cool. It's got that 80s indie jangle pop sound. If you've heard the Chords, they've been played a few times now on Radio 6. They're a duo from Greenock. And yeah, this is really just like a really cool indie Christmas song, complete with bells in the background, jangly guitars, and really cool vocals. And it was released on Heavenly Creatures. So yeah, if you get a chance to hear the Chords playing live near you, go and hear them. They're really cool. I think they're destined for great things. So that was my only single of the year, but yeah, really enjoyed that one. On to the albums then. At number 10, I've got the second album from The Smile. So that is, of course, Tom York and Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead's side project, or is it their full project now? I'm not sure. This is Wall of Eyes, and really, really good. Making up the trio, they are a trio, is his name Tom Skinner from Sons of Kemet. He's the drummer of the band. But yeah, this is really good. Took me a long, long time to get into Radiohead. It took me decades to get into Radiohead, and I do appreciate them. I do like them now, but this was a lot more immediate for me, a lot easier to get into, and ultimately a lot catchier. But not a million miles away from Radiohead. A bit more, I suppose, accessible, a little bit more mainstream in their sound. And they did release another album this year. They released two in 2024. I've not heard the second album. I need to give that a listen, but I really, really enjoyed this. Love the artwork as well. And this is my number 10 of 2024. Number 9 then is Tiger's Blood by Waxahachie. So this is like kind of Americana album. Waxahachie, aka Katie Crutchfield. She's been around for quite a while now, I think, since about 2010. And she's kind of went from lo-fi, indie, kind of noisemaker to chart-hitting Americana queen. Still with that kind of indie vibe to it, but this is a great album. It's really, really good. Follows on from our album from a couple of years ago, St. Cloud, which had a very similar sound. But a lot of the guitars on here were played by MJ Lenderman, who I believe released a really good album this year as well, which I've not heard yet this year. But yeah, this has been brilliant. Really enjoyed it. In some places, I think it sounds a little bit REM. In other places, it sounds a little bit Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, really cool singer-songwriter type stuff, and I think she's going to be a lot bigger. I'm surprised that this wasn't a bigger album, to be honest. Really easy to get into, very catchy, lots of great songs on here. Tiger's Blood, the last song, is great. Three Sisters is really good. Burns Out at Midnight. The whole album, really easy to get into and a nice listen. So going to Sweden then for my number 8 pick, and that is the sixth album by Goat. It's self-titled, and they're like a kind of neo-psychedelic collective, I said, from Sweden, shrouded in mystery. They don't give away their identities and stuff like that, and I think it's like a big kind of revolving cast of musicians that play with them. But this is really cool. It's got elements of psychedelia, a kind of acid folk sound. There's a lot of chanting on here. Nice layered acoustic guitars, kind of Afrobeat style drums, which is a bit different as well. But yeah, the first single off here, Goat Brain, got quite a lot of airplay. That's really cool. Nice vinyl as well. Yeah, I'd like to dig into some more of Goat's back catalogue, as I have really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that is my number, what did I say, number 8 self-titled album from Goat. So this next one's dropped right down the rankings. I did one of these halfway through the year, and this was right up near the top, and it's kind of dropped down as other albums have grown on me more. But it was the self-titled album from Liam Gallagher and John Squire. I found this really, really catchy, this album. When I first heard it, 10 songs on here, 10 really catchy songs, all written by John Squire, sang by Liam Gallagher. And I think it's like a really, really good indie rock album. Very catchy. I think Mars to Liverpool, really cool, kind of glammy sound. Just Another Rainbow, that's maybe a bit too kind of Beatles, she said, kind of derivative. It kind of sounds a bit like Rain by the Beatles. But some other good ones. I like I'm a Whale. So that sounds like a bit of a kind of blues indie number, which is quite an unusual combination, but Liam Gallagher sings it really well. Now, I'd said before when I reviewed this that I hated the cover, and I still hate the cover, but I kind of understand it a little bit more now, I think, because I think the music on here is quite disposable, like all the products on the front cover. As much as I really enjoyed it when I first heard it, it's one of these albums that it didn't have, I suppose, a lot of levels to it, and it didn't have a lot of depth. And as the years went on, I've kind of listened to it less and less. I'm a massive fan of John Squire. I love the guitar on here, and I think Liam Gallagher does a good job. But what I'd like to see, hopefully, from John Squire, because he wrote all the songs, it was his project. Liam Gallagher just came on board to sing it. Originally, he spoke about inviting a girl, a female singer, to sing on the album. And I would love it if he, for his next album, if he does write another collection of songs, he changes the singer. And I think that would be something that he could do each time, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who would like to sing his songs, but it'd be lovely to hear a female singer singing some of John Squire's songs, and maybe kind of look at songs from a different kind of perspective. But I think it's Hope Sandoval from Mazzy Star. I would love to hear her sing some of his songs, or Beth Gibbons or someone like that. But yeah, that'd be really cool. But yeah, that is I've lost track already. 10, 9, 8. That's my number 7, the self-titled album from Liam Gallagher and John Squire. Number 6 then is from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, their 26th album, not including live albums. And yeah, just a brilliant rock and roll album from the Australian boys from Melbourne. I'm not a massive authority on King Giz. I've kind of dipped my toe into their waters for a few years, but I really, really like this. I like the King Gizzard albums that kind of don't sound like the traditional King Gizzard sound. So I really liked Paper Mache Dream Balloon. I liked 12 Bar Bruise. I liked this, and I'm not so keen on maybe the heavier ones like Infest the Rat's Nest or stuff like that. It's a bit too heavy, a bit too thrashy for me. But this album's really good. It's basically like a homage to classic 70s rock. It sounds like Exile on Main Street era Stones, like the Allman Brothers. It's got like a kind of 70s rock feel to it. But the thing I like about King Giz, no matter what they do, whether it's like krautrock, electro, like their Silver Chord album, or this, or Paper Mache Dream Balloon, or whatever. It never ever sounds derivative. It doesn't sound like they're really ripping anybody off. It just sounds like they've kind of, yeah, it just sounds like a kind of respectful homage to the music of that time, and they seem to be able to turn their hand to any kind of sound that they want. Yeah, this is really, really good. Some beauties on here. Mirage City is a cracker. Antarctica's really good. Hog Calling Contest is like kind of country rock. The single Flight B741 is really cool as well. But yeah, the whole album's great on their own P-Doom label. I'm not sure if I got like any kind of fancy vinyl one, I can't remember. No, just on black. Here we go, it's that label with all the lyrics in here. But yeah, a kind of no-nonsense rock and roll album, which is always nice. So there we go, that is my number 6, Flight B741, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Just put this over here. Right, into the top 5, the big boys. So here we have A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. The Deodaro brothers from New York. They're a duo, or they write together. The band's a 4-piece. Yeah, this is really an excellent album. I think this is their 5th one. Starts off with My Golden Years, which kind of sums up the album. Again, it's like very influenced by poppy, late 60s, early 70s rock. It's loads of great chiming guitars and Beach Boys style harmonies. And it's the whole album, in fact, is very, very Beach Boys. It's almost like the best album that Brian Wilson never wrote, because there's lots of songs on here. A Dream Is All We Know, Sweet Vibration, Church Bells. In fact, that whole first side, I love the first side. It's really excellent. In fact, the whole album's brilliant, really easy to get into, wears its heart on its sleeve in terms of its influences, and I'd like to see what they do next, because so poppy, so catchy, really, really great album. So that was my number 5, A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. Number 4, then we have another one from Michael Head and the Red Elastic Band. It says Loophole. Yeah, really, really good. Spoke about Michael Head loads on my channel. I'm a massive Michael Head fan. I love Dear Scott, the album from the previous year. This isn't quite as grand. It's not such a cinematic sound, but another brilliant album from him. You know, the enemy once described Michael Head as our greatest living songwriter, and I don't think that that's an overstatement at all. He's absolutely brilliant, and as much as he's always been critically acclaimed all the way back to the 80s when he played in the Pale Fountains, and then all those amazing albums with Shaq, brilliant to see them getting re-released. The Magical Sound of the Strands is getting a reissue in January, and then this solo stuff. It never ever seems to have completely clicked with the general public, as much as all his albums get kind of critically lauded. But this is another brilliant one, Loophole. Ciao Ciao Bambino is really cool. It's got like that kind of trademark bossa nova sound. You know, he's a massive Arthur Lee in Love fan, so there's always great acoustic guitars. His songwriting is very autobiographical, really cool. I love this first song on here. Is it called Cheryl's Ghost? And I think that's about Michael Head and his son going to clear out his neighbour, an old lady called Cheryl, who passed away, and he goes to, I think, clear out her flat, or help clear out her flat, and he said that he could feel her presence kind of within the flat, and as much as he kind of just knew her as an old lady who lived below him or next to him, when he actually went and cleared out her flat, he realised that she had this like complete different other life that he didn't know about. She'd been like a famous ballroom dancer, and she'd danced all over the world. Yeah, loads of really good songs on here. Great stuff. Ambrosia, the second track's really good as well. Yeah, if you've not heard them, give them a listen. Certainly the Shaq stuff would be a good place to start, because it's as good as any indie music that came out in the 90s, I think. Okay, number 3. See, we have the triumphant return of the Decemberists with As it ever was, so it will be again. And yeah, this is just an amazing album. Check out that artwork. I love the Decemberists. Just a great indie band from, I think it's Oregon they're from. I think is this what their ninth album? It's a double album, and yeah, it's just amazing, really beautifully put together. It's got that classic Decemberist sound, kind of indie folk, bits of Americana in there. But over the four sides, each side's almost like another side to the Decemberists. That first side is again a very Beach Boys sounding number, Burial Ground, with kind of sad lyrics, but this really joyful tune, very reminiscent of Sloop John B. Great harmonies in there. Long White Veil's really nice as well. But then side two sounds more folky. The Black Maria, Don't Go in the Woods, William Fitzwilliam. And the last song, Joan of Arc, it's almost like the Decemberists going into prog territory. That's one long song, 19 minutes and 20 seconds. All about the visions and hallucinations that Joan of Arc saw, all these angels that she saw visiting her. But yeah, really, really good. If you like the Decemberists, you'll love this because there's enough in here that harks back to, is it Picturesque and The Crane Wife and all these kind of albums, those amazing stories within the songs, which I think is the kind of main thing that I like about the Decemberists. But then, like I said, there's little bits of changes in sound here as well, which are really interesting. But yeah, just such a brilliant band, the Decemberists, and I think quite underrated as well. But yeah, this is my third favourite of the year. And the top three, in fact, the top four, there was barely anything in it at all. So this easily could have been higher. Really pleased to pick that one up. So my top two changed through the year. And I think that's probably just to do with the way I was feeling, the mood I was in, and what kind of hit home this year. But now in second place, I have, is it the fifth album from Vampire Weekend, Only God Was Above Us. This is the indie exclusives cover. I actually think I prefer the normal cover more, so probably should have just bought that. Yeah, cool artwork again. It's like a very New York album. And it retains that Vampire Weekend sound. Loads of great songs on here. Ice Cream Piano is amazing with all these different changes in time signature. Great piano sound in here, guitars, violins. It's like a really grand sound. But then other songs that sound maybe a little bit jazzier, or jazz elements like the double bass. Is it Classical and Connect? I love that song. The Surfer is really good as well, with that amazing George Harrison sounding slide guitar. But yeah, just a brilliant band. I love Ezra Connick's songwriting, brilliant lyrics. Kind of introduced maybe a little bit more kind of a hip hop influence. I think there's a bit of a Beastie Boys influence on here with some of the drum beats and stuff like that. But it's enough Vampire Weekend to kind of please fans of the first three albums, and it goes in kind of new directions as well. I went to see them live in December in Glasgow, and they were absolutely amazing live. Like the sound of the band was just second to none. Really, really good. So there we go. That is Vampire Weekend in second place. Only God Was Above Us. And my favourite album of the year then is Yaki Da, which means good health in Welsh, and it is by Bill Ryder Jones, former guitarist of the Coral. It was one of the first albums I bought of the year, but it's just grown on me and grown on me and grown on me. Absolutely fantastic, kind of indie folk album. And Bill Ryder Jones produces it in his own Eon Studios. And it's like a really, really introspective, autobiographical album with just these really delicate, beautiful songs, almost sang at a whisper. And I should have mentioned on the Michael Head album, Bill Ryder Jones actually produced that as well. And I think to return the favour, Mick Head narrates one of the tracks on here. He reads out a bit of James Joyce's Ulysses. But a really sad album, really, really sad, and it kind of broaches a lot of the anxiety that Bill Ryder Jones has felt through his life, and he said a lot of it stemmed back to childhood trauma, where his family had been holidaying in Wales, and a lot of kids had been playing near the edge of this kind of cliff, and his brother, his 9-year-old brother, fell over the side and died, and how this kind of trauma has affected him through his life. But with the best, I suppose, the very best kind of sad albums, there's lots of little rays of hope in here and uplifting melodies, which make it just a beautiful, beautiful album. But I know that it's like this. Baby is really, really beautiful. It's got little samples from Gal Costa's song Baby in it. A Bad Wind Blows in My Heart, Part 3 is brilliant. I Hold Something in My Hand is absolutely fantastic as well. The whole album from start to finish, there's like children's choirs in here, just beautiful melodies. Like I said, really fragile little songs that really suit Bill Ryder Jones's voice. And for me, this is just the opposite of the Liam Gallagher and John Squire album. For me, this is a real, real grower. Love the artwork on the cover as well. I believe that's a fishing village. Is it Crail in on the Fife Coast? Can't remember. It's one of the little villages on the Fife Coast. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful sounding kind of indie folk album. This is my favourite of the year. I'm just going to show you lyrics on the inner, and then this beautiful pastel blue vinyl. So yeah, maybe Bill Ryder Jones's voice might not be to everybody's taste, but I love it and I think it really suits the songs. So there we go. That is my album of the year, Yaki Da by Bill Ryder Jones. And there we have it. What a great year for music. Now, if you're shouting at your phone, I doubt you're probably shouting at your phone, but if you're upset that I've not included The Cure or Wild God by Nick Cave, a load of other albums, it's probably because I've not heard them. So I got the Jesus and Mary Chain, Glasgow Eyes. I've got the new Banana Gun album in December. I've not really listened to them overly much, not enough to probably impact in my top 10 as of yet, but they may do so. Like things like Wild God and the Cure album, I've not got round to buying. I would really like to buy the Beth Gibbons album as well. What I've heard of that's been brilliant, but there's so many great albums in 2024 that my budget only stretches so far. And like I said, a lot of the time I'm looking back to the 60s and 70s, so it's trying to balance that out. But I really liked the new albums that I bought this year. So much great stuff, and I think probably over the beginning of January, I'll probably dip into some other albums that come out in 2024 as well, because like I said, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic year. And that's me really. Closing in on 2025, I'll have a go at the vinyl tag and a few other tags, I think, at the start of the new year. And hopefully 2025 is as good a year for new music as 2024 has been, because I've really, really enjoyed it. I said, have a happy Christmas, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. And until my next video, I'll see you later. Bye for now.